Welcome to Pride at Godrej. For those who are joining us for the first time, for those who've been part of this journey for so many years, welcome. For those who've been in this auditorium for a while, you've just seen some of our LGBTQ plus inclusive stories that have been playing. There's so many more online, so follow the Godrej DI Lab. You know, Insta, YouTube, LinkedIn, we're everywhere. Go to our website so you can catch so many more of these stories as well. We have an incredible afternoon and evening planned for you with so many elements, books, talks, Lavani, music, a rainbow theme party. So it's going to be a great afternoon and evening. And I'm so grateful that you made the time on a Monday to come and spend your Monday afternoon and evening with us. So love you all. A big round of applause for all of you. I'd like to call Pirojsha to come and give the welcome address of this evening. Pirojsha, happy Pride.
Thanks so much, Parmesh. So wonderful to be here and see so many friends, colleagues, allies, and members of the LGBTQIA plus community. Thank you all for being here. I think fantastic occasion. Wanted to say a big special thank you to Justice Shah for being with us here today. I think few individuals have done more to promote dignity, equality, and constitutional rights in India. So we're really, really grateful to you for your fantastic leadership and so honored to have you with us here today. A big thank you also to Kartika. We treasure our partnership with Westland and so happy to be bringing these stories and voices to the public. So thank you for being with us. And of course, Parmesh, to you and your entire team, thank you for today. Thank you for all that you do to promote diversity and inclusion at Godrej and throughout corporate India. So big thanks to you. You know, I think I'm going to keep my remarks super brief. Just wanted to say that, you know, at Godrej, I think sorry, is this better? You know, I think at Godrej, we've been talking a lot about both the past and the future of the group. We've recently restructured the group, so we've used that as an opportunity to rethink what we think are the best strengths of our past, the values we want to take forward, but also how we want to imagine tomorrow. And you know, I think at the core of that is fairness and respect and trust and taking everyone along. And I think those are values that have been at the core of the Godrej Group throughout its history, and those are very much things we want to celebrate going forward. Our new purpose statement for the group is Crafting Tomorrow since 1897. And we've recognized that we cannot talk about crafting tomorrow unless everybody is included in that tomorrow. And I think very happy again to have this opportunity to celebrate Pride Month with all of you. I think it's wonderful to have the fun events like the march, but ultimately what we are celebrating and what we are all here to value, of course, is progress, is human dignity, is the ability for everyone to come to work, be their whole self, contribute, be valued, and be treated like everyone else in the team. And I think that is something that is a noble goal. It is a goal that will, you know, it sometimes feels like we're taking one step forward and one step backwards, but I think we're making huge progress and we look forward to doing more. I think at Godrej, we've seen a lot of good milestones. For example, we now have over 300 members of the community at Godrej that are out. We have some of our companies already having crossed a diversity ratio of 40% for women, members of the community, and persons with disabilities. We've set ourselves a target over the next 5 years to achieve that at the group. And I think events like this, discussions like this encourage us, give us new ideas, and give us the opportunity to make some of these dreams real. So again, huge thanks to all of you for being here. We greatly look forward to the rest of the event.
Thank you so much, Pirojsha. We're super excited to be working alongside to craft a better tomorrow and a better world. I want to quickly share just some of the amazing, amazing work that we've been doing at Godrej. At Godrej, we celebrate Pride all year round, not just through LGBTQI plus hiring. Pirojsha just told you 300. Remember, these are 300 out people. There are thousands of people who have chosen maybe not to be out at this moment, and we hope that over the course of time, perhaps they would want to share that with us as well. So for us, it is hiring, which is very important, but it's also the products we offer. It's the stories we tell. You saw some of those earlier. And it's the policies that affirm our values and culture as well. So we do all of this inside Godrej. Plus, we do a lot of work to strengthen the community outside in so many different ways. So I want to give you a quick update about something we started last year, the Pride Fund India. How many of you know about the Pride Fund? It's amazing. This is a fund for those who don't know that supports LGBTQI plus NGOs which are working on healthcare, livelihoods, and community building, essentially organizations that serve the community. And last year, Godrej, Radhika Piramal, the Keshav Suri Foundation, Dasra, and we have other partners who've come on, have committed, and we are now giving a couple of crores every year to these NGOs. We want others to join us so that we can give more. When we mapped the landscape, we learned that there were 81 incredible LGBTQ-themed NGOs. Through the Pride Fund, we're able to support about 25. And we are hoping that in the years to come, we can raise more money with other partners and support, all 81 as well. And also all the new ones that will come up to serve our community as well. So that's just one. And there are so many more that you'll learn about, like the Queer India Fellowship that we launched today and so on. So, we're just super excited. Again, this event at Godrej 1 is just one event that we're doing in one headquarters as well. If you see, there are Pride events happening all across Godrej, all across our companies, all across the country and world as well. So throughout our group, throughout the year, all our group companies, individuals, employee resource groups will be hosting all of these events. Some for Godrej employees only, some for all. So, if you just look at the calendar or you follow Godrej DI Lab, we'll keep on publicizing these for you so that you can come or share these with everyone else as well. We have many exciting things today. There's a queer bookstall in the cafe. Some of you may have seen it. I hope you came with empty bags because, the editors and the authors of the book we're launching are here. They will sign it for you. So the book is available. So many other books are available as well. And hint, it's right next to where you get cupcakes as well. So please go out and fill your empty bags with shopping. There's a queer bazaar happening up. There's an AI photo booth happening on the side. If you are queer talent and you want to work with us, we have a Godrej hiring booth, which is right here as well. So after this event, hang out with us at our rainbow reception, chill, chat, maybe come and work with us as well. We just want to hang with you for as long as we can. For now, I'm happy and honored to introduce you to your host for the rest of the evening, Jamini Bhaviskar, who is one of our many queer stars at Godrej. Jamini leads DEI at Godrej Properties. And Jamini is going to take you through the very, very packed evening that we have with you. We encourage you to take pictures, put it online, put it on your LinkedIn, put it on your Insta, put it everywhere. Use, tag us as well. Show the world this Pride Month and always that we are here, we are out, we are proud, we are not going anywhere. Jamini, over to you.
I love how the room every Pride Day, every year holds this energy. Can the queers make some noise in the room? And where are the allies? Can the allies make some noise? Let's go. My name is Jamini Bhaviskar. Welcome to Pride at Godrej 2026. I'm an out, proud, and valid transgender woman working at Godrej Properties. I want to take a moment to speak not just as a host, but from my own experiences. For many trans people, the world can often feel very difficult. You are asked to explain yourself often, justify your presence, or make yourself smaller to fit in. You're always aware of safety and finding ways to navigate it. And that is why spaces like Godrej Industries matter to me deeply. Here, I found something that I once thought might always be out of reach. The feeling of being able to come to work as myself, to be addressed with respect, to laugh without hesitation, and to belong without conditions. This is a real joy. It is a very simple thing, but it changes everything. For me, today is not just a celebration. It is a hope that the sense of safety and the joy we feel in this room, I hope it travels beyond and becomes something more people can access without having to search for it hard. So with the sense of gratitude to be here with all of you today, as myself, let's begin our event, Queer India Now. We'll begin with the launch of our new book, Queer India Now. A year earlier, we saw the launch of Queer Directions, a queer-led publishing imprint launched by Westland and the Godrej DI Lab to reflect on the year gone by. I would like to now invite V.K. Karthika, editor and publisher extraordinaire, on the stage.
Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be here again. Last year, this time was very special. We launched Queer Directions as an imprint that would publish queer voices, queer stories, and a year later, we have 3 books down and this very, very special book, the 4th, that is in front of you today. We dreamed up Queer Directions as an imprint that would, what Parmesh said at that point, not create borders but bridges that would provide ways of communicating, of telling stories that would be shared rather than stories that would exclude or only include certain kinds of people and certain kinds of narratives. So Queer Directions, as you can see, is going in many directions if you see the many books we've published so far. And every time there's another idea that's born, every conversation becomes another book, as we've had some today, which we hope will convert into books by next year. Why do we as publishers do books and imprints like this? I think publishing and writing is not just about making profits or accessing a marketplace, etc. What books do is enter conversations, and sometimes direct conversations that are really important, that are political, that need nuance in a way that other forms of media do not always provide. And I think this book is a striking example of that nuance, of telling stories of many kinds, holding so much within just a few pages. I remember like 2 decades ago when I was in Penguin and I was a young editor then, and we published this anthology called Yarana, which was edited by Hoshang Merchant. And it occurs to me that after Yarana, which continues to be a book that people go back to, this is going to be the book that's going to stand and be testimony to so much of our time and of the past and the future. I'm delighted that we got to work with Dhamini and Dhruvo on this, and Parmesh, who drove this entire enterprise. So delighted that we're going to launch the book here at Godrej with all of you and celebrate writing, celebrate publishing, celebrate joy and pride. So thank you for having us here for this launch. And I am now going to invite Justice Shah to come up and launch the book. I think you already heard that this is one person who has done so much to speak up for rights, for constitutional rights, for dignity. And as you all know, it is particularly relevant in the context of queer rights. But I also want to say that for me and for a lot of people like me, I think what Justice Shah symbolizes is the hope that whatever happens in this country and in this world, there are still individuals who can make that difference that allows all of us to make a difference. So I'm very grateful, sir, that you agreed to come here, and very delighted that Mrs. Shah is here as well. So may I invite you up to launch the book.
A very good evening, and thank you to Mr. Pirosha Godrej and Parmesh and his team for inviting me here today. I am delighted to be a part of this celebration at Pride 2026. This is my first time attending this event. It's wonderful to see the Godrej campus, Godrej 1 campus buzzing with energy. This annual festival is a testament to Godrej's enduring commitment to LGBTQIA plus equality. At the heart of this event is landmark literary and cultural milestone, Queer India Now, edited thoughtfully by Dhruvo Jyoti and Damini Ratnam. This intersectional anthology offers a living archive of contemporary queer lived experiences in India. Beyond the anthology, however, I must also congratulate the team for the consistent efforts at mentorship and improvement to support and upskill queer leaders across the country. Gathering here also gives us an opportunity to reflect on how far we have come and consider how and where we want to go. It has taken us many decades towards achieving the equality, dignity, and freedom promised by our Constitution. As a person from the legal community, I will focus on how the judiciary has addressed these fundamental rights, where we have been victorious and where the battles still lie. A long shadow of Section 377 is an obvious subject to begin with. This law was not rooted in India, was imported by the British. It was proclaimed to protect public morality, but in practice, a tool for harassment, blackmail, and even tragedy. You will all remember the heartbreak of Professor Sirus at Aligarh Muslim University, whose privacy was invaded and dignity stripped away. His story, captured poignantly in the 2015 film Aligarh. The legal battle against this law was very long. You are all familiar with it. So I will not spend much time on it, but just briefly. The Delhi High Court, in its Nas Foundation judgment, laid down Section 377. It said that this law would not apply to the sexual intercourse between consenting adults. But this met with a setback at the Supreme Court in the Koshal decision. Finally, in 2018, in the historic Navtej Johar judgment, the Supreme Court concluded that homosexuality is not a criminal activity. It ruled that Section 377 does not respect individual choice and violates Article 14 of the Constitution. Article 14 is a fundamental right that guarantees equality before the law and equal protection of the law to any person in India. In between, there was also the Supreme Court's 2014 decision in Nalsa versus Union of India. The judgment sometimes gets overshadowed, but it's a very important decision. Here, the Supreme Court recognized transgender persons as a third gender. Nalsa accepted and reaffirmed the logic of Nas Foundation judgment by declaring, and this is very important aspect of Nalsa judgment, no one could be discriminated against on grounds of sexual orientation. Nalsa also interpreted the right to equality to include gender identity and extended freedom of speech to include values of privacy, self-identity, autonomy, and personal integrity. This was the crucial foundation for the final judgment in Navtej Johar. So with Nalsa and Navtej Johar together, we moved from a vocabulary of criminality contained in Section 377 to one of dignity and choice. From here on, surely, we cannot go backwards. But a lot remains to be done. We are at a point where legally queer relationships are recognized under law, but the institution of marriage is still not a legally recognized right. Surely this needs to change. If we look at the larger picture, the theme is one of family. And what we are yet to achieve is the democratization of the family as an institution. So even though Navtej Johar decriminalized same-sex love and Nalsa affirmed gender identity, the civil rights that come with marriage are yet to be granted. It is not that the courts are not aware of it. Even in Navtej Johar, the Supreme Court acknowledged decriminalization is only the beginning. Section 377 judgment is only a getaway. So that's only the beginning. The path towards full equality requires addressing a whole bouquet of rights, basic rights such as education, housing, access to services, and finally, the most important right, is the institution of marriage. But despite recognizing all this, the Supreme Court did not legalize same-sex marriage. It left the matter to the parliament. Surely this was a missed opportunity. You must remember that the marriage is more than just a ceremony or occasion of festivities. It opens up a host of rights, such as rights to inheritance, adoption, insurance, and social recognition. Denying these rights means some parts of our society are being told that even though they are no longer criminals, they are not yet full citizens. Surely, as long as marriage equality is denied, one could argue that a hierarchy of citizenship remains in our society. Other countries where basic rights for LGBTQ persons are present have progressed to the stage of recognizing formal civil unions or partnership leading to marriage. This rests on the idea, and that is very important, that institutions like marriage and family life should be neutral to sexual orientation or gender identity. If marriage rights are denied, it is effectively a failure to extend all constitutional rights to all citizens. The most well-known case in USA, that is Obergefell versus Hodges, which recognized the fundamental rights, constitutional right to marry same-sex couples. But it is not about marriage and the bouquet of rights that accompany it. We also need a comprehensive anti-discriminatory law. You could say that the courts provided a great foundation, but the legislature is not up to it. The legislature's response is lukewarm. For example, you must have read about it. The NALSA recognized the right to self-identification, but there is an amendment to the Transgender Persons Act 2019, and it has undone this very important constitutional principles. This law is also very inadequate and even misconceived. Particularly, it appears that this law has been drafted without consulting the stakeholders, namely the transgender persons. The law does not recognize the practical reality of the trans persons. Due to violence and discrimination from biological kin, rely on a chosen family for support. There is a chapter on discrimination, but there is no remedy provided in the chapter. So what happens if a trans person is discriminated against or he has to face violence? What's the remedy for him? What is the punishment for the violator of his rights? So more efforts have to be made to get the legislature to make changes. Here I am reminded of an anecdote. South Africa's post-apartheid constitution was drafted to expressly prohibit discrimination on the grounds of sexual orientation. Nelson Mandela, the great leader, the first president of South Africa, was against the homosexuality. He was not in favor of this particular part of the provision in the constitution. But the younger members in ANC, they persuaded him to change his opinion. So I will tell you another story in South Africa when a lesbian couple, they were informally married and they were taken to the police station by the parents of the couple, both parties. So the station chief pointed to the photograph of Nelson Mandela and said basically something like this, that if he has no objection it, who are you to object? Finally, I come to the social and cultural change that is needed. The mere removal of a legal provision is certainly not the ultimate goal. Instead, we need a pervasive acceptance and belief that LGBTQ persons are no different, that everyone possesses the same capacity to love, build lasting relationships, and be good parents. This is precisely why gatherings like this here today are so important. This is perfect forum for intersectional dialogue where engaging and educating those in power is as critical as empowering marginalized gender and sexual minorities. I'm delighted to see that this movement is working towards by expanding its reach to corporate change makers, youths, members of the civil society in Mumbai and beyond. In closing, I am reminded of the timeless wisdom of the Persian mystic poet Rumi, whose works perfectly capture the essence of what we strive today. Listen with ears of tolerance. Listen with ears of tolerance. See through the eyes of compassion. Speak with the language of love. May you carry today's energy into your daily lives and walk out of here more committed to the cause of equality than ever before. Thank you very much.
Can I ask all the team members of the anthology to come up on stage for the launch of the video? Yeah. These books are available outside. If anybody wants to read it, please take it from there. Now, to give us insight into how the anthology came about, can I ask Dhrubo Jyoti and Dhamini Ratnam to stay back on the stage with contributors Shripad Sinakar and Priya Dali for a presentation, followed by readings of excerpts from the book.
Good evening, everyone. I am truly honored to be here in your presence. Esteemed Chief Guest, Justice A.P. Shah, former Chief Justice of Delhi High Court and Madras High Court, thank you so much for your speech, your amazing, amazing speech, and thank you for agreeing to launch our book, Queer India Now. Our publisher, Westland and Godrej DEI, without whose partnership Queer Directions would not have happened. Parmesh Shahani at Godrej DEI, whose indefatigable work for the queer community over decades as author, academic, editor, corporate honcho, and philanthropist cannot be overstated. Kartika and her team of editors, Sangamitra and Sanjana, who saw promise in our idea and helped us reach the finish line. I am also grateful to my families who are present today, my parents who are in the audience, my sisters Deepa and Divya, my nephew and niece, as well as my queer family, Vaga, Vasundhara, Yara, and Amir, scattered in this auditorium right now. And I'm truly grateful to be here today in the presence of the book's contributors, Shripad, who has both good sides, Priya, Sharanya, who I don't know if you're here, or if you are, then you must please wave your hands and come for the photograph. Okay, there you are. Hi. Vikram, Pratyush, as well as my excellent, excellent co-editor, Dhrubo Jyoti. Those of our contributors who couldn't be here today, we miss you. This book has happened because of all of you. We have come a long way since 1290, when the punishment for sodomy in the English common law was to be burnt or buried alive. Things were not a whole lot better in the 16th century, when the punishment under the Buggery Act was death by hanging. And by 1861, though the death penalty was abolished, a penal code was in the process of being drafted for England's most precious colony, India. Section 377 of India's new penal code criminalized the act of sodomy. And then the law was farmed out as part of new penal codes to other British colonies. In many of those former colonies, Section 377 remains on the books today. But codification of law required precision, and precision skirted dangerously close to the contaminating influence of sexuality. So our main man, Thomas Babington Macaulay, the leading member of the Law Commission, drawing up the penal code, decided instead to deploy disgust and kept the wording of Section 377 purposely vague. Those who knew what carnal intercourse against the order of nature meant would never speak of it or do it, and those who still went ahead and did it, well, the less that could be said of their impulses, the better. So strong was this sense of disgust that it took more than 150 years for the lethally vague Section 377 to be finally laid to rest. First, by the Delhi High Court in 2009, in the path-breaking Nas Foundation judgment delivered by Chief Justice A.P. Shah and Justice Muralidhar, and later in 2018, when a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court found Section 377's application to consenting adults a crime against all humanity itself. Today, in the time that I have left before you, I would like to take you through 2 things that I realized when working on this book with my excellent co-editor, Dhrubojyoti. 2 things that I strongly believe that we must never forget as citizens, lest we doom ourselves to farcical repetition. 1, the role that Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar played in guaranteeing the LGBTQIA+ community equality is foundational, not even incidental. Justice Shah and Muralidhar's judgment infused our legal discourse with a vital idea derived straight from our constitution, that of constitutional morality. Dr. Ambedkar, who chaired the Constituent Assembly's drafting committee, said this when moving the draft constitution in the assembly. Constitutional morality is not a natural sentiment. It has to be cultivated. The true spirit of our constitution lay in its recognition that every Indian, every citizen of this country was entitled to a life of substantive equality, dignity, and personhood, irrespective of their caste, gender, class, or sex. It recognized that this was as much the state's responsibility as it was the courtrooms and societies. The Nas judgment took inspiration from Dr. Ambedkar's words and stated that popular morality or public disapproval of certain acts is not a valid justification for the restriction of fundamental rights. Popular morality, as distinct from constitutional morality, is based on shifting and subjective notions of what is right and wrong. In Queer India Now, we found hope in the words and actions of Dr. Ambedkar, as well as in those who came after him and upheld his vision of India. 2, precision is political. The LGBTQIA+ community is a mouthful of an identity because we understand the importance of precision. We know how the law for hundreds of years stayed vague and imprecise, rendering us into what Justice Shah so astutely called unapprehended felons in the Nas versus Union of India judgment. Section 377 created a permissive atmosphere of discrimination, which other laws like the Criminal Tribes Act of 1871 added to. The latter criminalized the Hijra community based on nothing more than the prejudice of those who drafted the law. Section 377 too was a colonial law, but its persistence in independent India revealed something more insidious: a deep distrust of an individual's right to self-determination. Those who came out and spoke of their identity did so battling externally imposed shame. The Dalit groom who rides a horse or keeps a mustache knows the cost of doing so even today. And thus, to claim an identity today is about so much more than the identity itself. It is a sign of a mature society that does away with the stigma and disgust associated with identity and actively works to repair the harm caused by it. Queer India now shows us that with precision comes dignity, and with dignity comes plurality, which is the true strength of any democracy. Need proof? Just turn the pages of our book. I thank you all for your patience and your audience.
Thank you. It's very rare to be in the presence of both erudition, excellence, and attractiveness. And it's my great pleasure to be in company of all three. I come from a city in the north of this country where it's not in as much abundance as it is in this room today. So thank you all for hosting us. It's been an extraordinary journey for me in terms of learning everything that I know about queerness over the last course of these years, from the generosity, the excellence, the diversity, and the resilience of these 30-plus authors who have made this book possible. And I want to start with the diversity. We have in this book a man from a village in Bolangir in Orissa trying to build a community, excavating language for feelings that don't exist in front of others. A drag artist and a makeup artist in Nagaland who's building euphoria on stage. A whirly artist in Rajkot who's building a dreamscape for herself because society refuses to see the gender that she truly is. And a queer person living in Nellore in Andhra Pradesh, trying to navigate love, loss, livelihood, and heartbreak, and sometimes the cruelty of men and women who are just too hot to be permissible. We all know them. The second thing I learned is that queerness is about fabulosity, as is true in this room, through the Pride March and the performances, but it's also about the ordinary. It's about the joy of the everyday, about the nuts and bolts of life. It's about trying to open a bank account, having a job, getting a home. Are you being given a home? Are people asking who you will share the home with? Having a car, having a scooter, having the ability to go out at night, rooted in India's social realities. What part of the dream that we have of being a full Indian citizen are we not allowed to access? That is the joy of the everyday that this book tries to reach. And finally, every one of these 30 authors have taught us that queerness is about the present, about the now, but it's also about the future. It's about their belief in a future that is filled with dignity and with respect, with dreams and hopes and joys that every other Indian is allowed to achieve, that every Indian should be allowed to achieve. And finally, for every piece of queer writing and book over the centuries, this book stands on the shoulders of giants, of anthologies and collections that were cobbled together in times far more difficult, with resources far less abundant. This book is for the people who held stories inside them, even when they didn't say it out aloud, for the mimeographed zines that were stapled by hand in the back rooms of borrowed spaces, the little magazines that traveled city to city to city in somebody's bag because they were too dangerous to mail, the hours that were spent in police stations or shelters or even roadside for scraps of safety, the women who underlined passages in borrowed library books and left them on shelves in the hope that somebody else would one day find them, the diaries that were burnt before they could be read, and the stories that were held inside a body in silence, sometimes for decades. only to one day spout forth in an inland letter destined for an unmarked postbox, hoping for a future better than what they had at present. You all made literature out of longing. This book is a thank you to all of you. And now I want to invite the extraordinary Bombay poet Shripad Sinaka to serenade you all with their words.
It's so lovely to be here. I keep visiting Godrej, into 2017, 18. I remember coming here for the first time. Parmesh is not here. Hi, Parmesh. Parmesh, I was supposed to come like at 4:30, but then I'm like, I don't want to fight with Parmesh. I don't want Parmesh to like be mad at me for not coming early. I came here in 2018, and it was I still remember everything about that event here in Godrej. But what happened after the event, like the post-event, was like, you say tata bye-bye, and some very noisy kotis were going around, and it was so fascinated. These kotis were so loud, I was so fascinated. I said, bitch, why are you screaming? Why are you screaming? We went together, and then, and then the Kotis want to walk. They don't want to take rickshaw. They're like, oh, Vikroli station, it's right here. And we kept on walking. And we were just screaming, we were going, and then we went to the station, and these bitches were screaming again, and then we went in the compartment, and it was just crazy. And they were the one who first introduced me to 2x2. And 2x2 is this compartment in the local trains that where men go to touch each other. See, I kind of like told myself, how do I say this? But then because you see, like when you say queers, you don't see the hijras there. You don't see kotis in 2x2. You see, like the Godrej office goers or like very suit tie. They be standing on the sideway with like hands up, and so that's a top. And then you got these are little cues. You don't see kotis over there, but then I was very fascinated by it. So when you say 2x2 is just so desire, hand jobs, and that's not the word I thought I would use in front of AP Shah, but then these are some of the things that people do in 2x2, and it was kind of strange that it was reduced to just that. And what I try to do with this poem is try to situate that desire not in sex, but also in the city itself, where in the train, where that the way you expand this infrastructure is through anti-encroachment drives currently in central and western railway lines, where they are demolishing. They have demolished Garib Nagar in Bandra. They are demolishing in Virar. They are doing the same thing in the Sion. So it's surprising that railways were kind of imagined to be this infrastructure for abolition of caste. And so many of Dalits will are testament to this. They are where they are because of the railways, because of the reservation, and not because of mere representation. That doesn't take you anywhere, which is why it was so interesting. Dhruvo started, so the diversity part, and I thought, okay, the same old, someone from the Northeast, someone from the tribal, it's okay. Like, see, like nobody does representation like the right wing. They have given us, Adivasi woman has a president, we can all go home after that. Because there's no representation beyond that. What is representation beyond that, right? But there were stories like this, such a beautiful, I have never enjoyed diversity. I wish the diversity higher in Godrej would do the, tell me your story. Where are you from? I wish. But it was so fascinating. I wanted to kind of situate, if this is the desire that you see in the 2x2, I wanted to situate it in the city. I kind of don't like the city anymore. Sab tod rahe hain. And it's also a kind of, when you see who's legible, who's not legible. And I guess when our grandparents or great-grandparents came, to see that today they would have been treated the same way, it's crazy. This is called 2 by 2. Do we have someone to hold this? No, nothing. It's a long poem that mic stand, no, nothing. नहीं नहीं, पकड़ ले. नहीं, एक ही चलेगा. It's okay. It's a long poem, but I have opened my button to like kind of make up for that attention. No, it's okay. This is my reading glasses, guys. Yeah. पकड़ना है ऐसे अच्छे से. नहीं आता क्या तुमको? Hanging by the footboard of the train, against the direction of the speed, in the fullest swanish bend, gliding his back open to make a bypass in the currents of the contraction of the redding bodies, the profile of his nape, cliffside, exploding against the high background, gliding fast past him, the points of view of zero bulb light, steel glint kitchenette eclipsed by the gyrating side tracks, on the edges, immaculate settlements, an alignment of non sequiturs, leaping of one thing over the other, bearing sufficing trees in a distance, the serrated midriffs of the Palmyra fronts, splayed green in stiff elevation, embossed on the corrosive grid of old, no maintenance buildings, pilasters of staircase balcony in columns, the dry down of balsam in the leathery grease of the tracks, in a bristling low sundown of twilight that clasps like an incident of assault in the morning newspaper, manufacturing the dread of its possibility, an action in repose at a fingertip, clutched to the railing, habit wants to thrive, recall over itself, glistening each minute, loosening into speculation. There are muttering of suspicion that modulates into cadence of guttural alighting pitch. The train jolts in a graduation, has in an afterthought. Next station, a dozen more flocking, buckled into a crook of another, into the twisted signature of shoulder blades and contours of burgeoning, a strut, a prance, an itch, a little dance of reshuffling and patience, stubbornly burying of themselves into themselves in the 6 to 9 after hour rush. This is somewhere between democracy and mob. Only his ear particulate, sated in the ridge of its inner folds, sloping into a fleshy lobe as if an emergency cord to stop the train. Over the terminal bridges, they put turpentine in the ear pit as you crank your neck. They twist a cotton stem, sending ebbs of shoots across the skin. A lull riding the breath of sleepfulness. Next station, the figures illume in white tube lights, snaking hip first in the alley arrows of desire trail. We resemble less of each other. First, the play of our glances, replete with drafts of scenes, then repetitive enough to eliminate the surrounding. A white, lowly moan in the underbreath of the colony. The elation is clear. The preference of you is always plural. A physical state in its perennial shift. The thousand valves of turning around, now looking ahead. The looking force erased. Personal characteristics, features, properties, all gone. Thank you so much. Every time I'm reading, one or the other theater person from the audience and comes and tells me, oh, the enunciation was really bad. The pronunciation could have been better. There's a reason why I'm a poet and not a theater artist. Because I write this in the privacy of my room, and I get to share this, with everyone. It's such a joy. Thank you so much for that. But don't expect good enunciation. I can't do that. This poem is titled Begumpura. I guess this is my kind of a commercial poem, right? It's out there. You can recognize me through this kind of a poem. Because I put a caste in that word, so it makes sense. But it's my favorite song. It came right through my heart. As you can see from my first poem, I put a lot of efforts into my poems. But this came out very easy. How many generations does it take for a dream to come true? Long hair oiled, combed, braid tucked tight to a ribbon, as if to secure into something, not some future, but a sense of moving someplace where sun is not overdue, hands don't reap what hands didn't sow, and water doesn't ask what the caste of our thirst is. I wrote this poem right after the atrocity on this boy from Rajasthan who was killed for just touching the pot of a drinking pot. He was a schoolboy. He was 7 years old, and I feel what is queerness, as Dhruvo said? What is queerness without your confrontation with caste and its abolition? We celebrate queerness, and I don't think we can do that without confronting caste. Thank you so much for being very patient.
Our Priya, our extraordinary writer, illustrator, artist.
Okay, I'll just stand on the side. Okay, so for the last 9 years, I have been wondering about this question. This is what most of my work is located in, personally and through Gesi family. What does queer India look like? I mean, of course, one very obvious answer is everybody in the room right now. But can we go to the next slide? But most of us have not seen ourselves represented, of course, that's a given. This is what we would have grown up seeing, right? Some version of this spread all across, and that is what the power of visual media is. It's all around us. It is so around us that you wouldn't even realize how much it kind of seeps into our day-to-day. So when Damini asked me to work on a graphic piece for Queer India Now, I was invited to document and illustrate the story of Disha Pinky Sheikh, who's a politician here in Maharashtra. I spent the beginning of it was with just listening to a lot of her speeches. At one point, I was listening to it till 3 o'clock in the night and forgot that I have to actually give it to Damini at some point. Disha spoke about not feeling seen through her early years. And that's something that I think, again, so many of us can relate, right? Can we go to the next slide? And she spoke about spotting this one little signage somewhere which said the 11th direction. There are 10 directions. She was like, okay, what is this 11th direction? She felt like this was something that was not around her. She felt like she resonated with it. Right? I'm now realizing that this was a daring move to not have written everything down. But basically coming back to it, queer art makes us feel seen. But what it does, we have queer visual art through movies, we have it through all the other mediums that are there around us. It's in the book that we see here as well in words. But what the visual aspect of it allows us to do is kind of place a visual for something that's also not tangible. It allows us to document in a way that we can hang on to. Because visual, comics, illustrations are static, and that staticness gives us the ability to just hold on to it. I'm not a words person, as you can see, but for me, everything is visual. So that is how I speak. That is how I'm able to visualize, see anything around me or process any of it. Which also means that it has been the way in which I have also tried to visualize what my life would be. I was in the closet for about 4 years. That meant that visuals, stories were the only way in which I was able to sort of lie about myself while also feeling safe. It was one way in which I documented my own journey. And it's also something that allowed me to look at what this future looks like. When I was going through Disha's body of work, listening to her poetry, she has a fabulous Instagram account. She sings, she writes poetry, she does all of this work in the political space as well. But I'm in Maharashtrian, my mother's here. I've grown up with Marathi as the language, but never did I, hear anything around queerness. And to see this person speak so loudly and so clearly and also so simply, because I like simple words. I don't know the bigger ones, you'll lose me. And she spoke very simply. She asked really simple questions, and she asked these questions to a really loud crowd somewhere in all the corners of Maharashtra. And I think that was something that it stuck with me. There's this one poem of hers. There's no way I can tell you about it because I've forgotten about it. But it is a really beautiful poem that came out of the space of not being able to see herself and then kind of, putting it out through this medium. And in all of her speeches, she asked some really pointed questions. She asked some really simple questions. So how I wanted to kind of, document her journey was through these 11 questions that she put forward. And some of these were rhetorical questions. But visually what I sort of chose to do, and which I believe is really important at this moment in time, is we need very literal documentation as well. While there is artistic, like one could stylize some of it when it comes to queer visual art. There are ways in which we can kind of go into abstraction, but I'm a firm believer when it comes to people's stories, we need to kind of strike that balance in between. And I also did not want to show what all has been not in favor of Disha and her journey. I wanted to show her in these moments of power. So through the whole piece, you will only see like the context around her, the world that has kind of shaped her, but I don't want to show violence. I feel like there's enough around us, and there are, of course, people who are documenting that, but I also wanted to show her in all her moments of joy and also the questions that she posed. Then the other thing, of course, like that Disha also kept speaking about is the desire to see our relationships, our own stories being reflected, our bodies. And which brings me to this beautiful piece by Amel Sharon and Sharanya Ravi. Sharanya is here in the audience. So if you look back, she was waving. So again, like while the only brief I gave Sharanya at one point was to write what you can't draw and to draw what you can't write. And that's again something that I believe, like I've been practicing through all of my visuals over these last few years, which is there's like, how do you document the pain and pleasure of intimacy? How do you kind of make someone feel that that's beyond words, right? That's where visuals also come in, because they're not always that literal. So this is where we kind of kept the literal away. We wanted to make it something that's very sensorial. And at the same time, it's also important to document intimacy, I feel, queer intimacy especially, because how many places do we get to see this, right? And this, again, I feel like visual art allows you to kind of consume all of these things in the privacy of your own space. And you get to stay with it for as long as you want. And that's what we kind of try to do here. And also to represent trans bodies, to show them respectfully, to show them in a manner where it makes one feel seen, but at the same time, it doesn't make one feel exposed. So that's Sharanya's and Amel's piece. That brings me to my, Raji, we can go to the next slide, to what does it mean to feel seen? How can we kind of facilitate that, what is not around us right now? So a lot of my work is also about exploring what is radical joy, how do we visualize it, because right now the spaces don't reflect us, and I'm very fascinated by political posters that we see around us. It's always men, 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 and of course, like the religion aspect, I don't even have to spell out. So it felt really important to end Disha's piece with something that she's working towards. At some point, it is definitely going to be a visual. But in the meantime, I wanted to leave the reader with a visual that we can also hang on to, because we want to see more of politicians out there. We want to see more queer politicians out there. And that is what visual art again allows us to do. It allows us to create a world that we can hang on to while the rest of us continue to build it. So this is one of my favorite contributions to the anthology. One of my favorite pieces, actually. It's an image that I've been carrying for the last 9 years now. It's something that I've grown up seeing. I've seen my mother, who's here in the audience, get a gajra, give it to her friends, put it on somebody else's hair, somebody she cares about. And I've always seen that as that act of solidarity, as acceptance, as love, as something that you do out of fondness. And that is what I wanted to show when it comes to what does queer India look like now. It is through all of these small little moments, because yes, of course, there's the bigger things that we'll keep doing, and we need to see those. But I think as somebody who's anxious, I also like to see it in all these little things that we do on a daily basis, because that's where we forget, right? Like, there's so much shit that goes on a daily basis. I feel like it was important for me to kind of capture that little moment where, in a very desi, in a very gharelu way, like, what does that look like? Because I have not grown up with like us being like this hugging family. I've never said I love you to my mother. So, what then in that case, what does it look like, right? And I believe that is something that's common for quite a few of us. So in that, like, this is what, for me, love and acceptance and family looked like. And I thought that is what all of us kind of landed on. That is the great visual for the cover. Thank you.
Can I re-invite Parmesh, Justice Shah on the stage, Shripad and all the authors, and Kartika for a group picture again. Yeah. Now I'd like Parmesh to stay back and talk about a project which is yet another step in our attempt to create an inclusive future across India, the Queer India Fellowship.
Thank you, everyone. Now we are going to do a bunch of exciting launches. As you know, every year we do a extraordinary thing at Godrej. Last year we launched Queer Directions. Now we have so many books. This year we are launching what we believe is very, very useful and very, very vital, the Queer India Fellowship. So if we can please have the video. So I'm going to quickly tell you about this Queer India Fellowship. And for those, just a brief audio description of the video essentially has in the video what I'm going to talk about, which is, why the need for this fellowship and about the application as well. So very, very quickly, it's a 12-month leadership program that we hope will advance India's future queer leaders. Every year, we are planning to identify a cohort about 10 incredible leaders that we believe are going to lead us into this collective future of ours. Our Godrej DI Lab is partnering with the Godrej Foundation to launch this, and we hope will continue for many, many, many years to come. Now, why the need for this? We really believe that this is the moment now when the world is in such turmoil, when queer rights are both in advance and in decline all around the world, that something like this is most useful, for India and for the world as well, right? Global policies are changing. Even Pirocha earlier said, and we've heard advances happen to, fro, there's forward, there's backward. Especially post-COVID, there have been so many funding cuts for LGBTQ rights all around the world, as well as India. And at the same time, we see rising interest. There's interest in queerness, there's interest in queer lives, there's interest in queer talent, not just in private sector, but also in the public sector, also in the public imagination as well, right? There's interest in engaging with LGBTQI communities as well. So we feel that this fellowship is actually going to be a useful bridge between the amazing queer talent that exists in India, as well as so many of these other spaces which can then be, laboratories or spaces for this queer talent to go and flourish and lead. We believe it's going to help us create queer leaders, as well as think of queer leadership as a different kind of model that we in India can then offer the world. So we believe this is the moment. Who are we looking for? This is who we're looking for. We're looking for folks who are at a critical juncture in their lives. So we're looking for people who've already done something. So if you look at this, and I'm grateful to Aspen, of which I happen to be a fellow, for part of this journey as well. So we are not looking for rising leaders as well in that sense. We're looking for people who've done something, but who are at an inflection point. Typically, we found that happens between 25 to 35. So that's the kind of person we're looking for. We want you to have achieved something as a queer leader, either in your college or in your workplace or in your artistic performance or in your nonprofit world. Wherever you come from, we want to see evidence of you having done something for the community. We believe the journey we take you on will help you go deep, increase your momentum, amplify your journey, equip you with other things, give you the contacts, give you the other skills that will help you then, grow and then, build your legacy as well, right? So if anyone, and again, if any of you want to apply, please apply. If any of you know someone who's like this, how amazing would it be to be part of the first batch of this? This is going to be one of the world's best fellowships globally. Just to give you a sense of who some of these people might be, we have like 4 persona types. It could be Sana, who's 28 and a filmmaker who wants to work on a documentary. It could be Tara, who's working in a company, who's already part of the LGBT cohort and who wants to take it next. Or it could be someone who's a research scholar in a university who's working on it. So we're looking for people who are already doing something and we want to help them go ahead, okay? The first cohort is going to have 7 to 10 fellows. We want them to be as diverse as possible. They can be from any parts of India, any discipline. In fact, we are going to curate it in a way that each person is different from the other. So someone in science can learn from someone from the humanities, from different regions, from different, of course, we're hoping to get the entire range of the LGBTQI plus spectrum as well. We encourage applicants from historically marginalized communities, especially to apply. And what we want is a class in which everyone can learn from everyone else, as well as the faculty that we assemble for you on stage, right? It's a 12-month structure. This is how it's going to look like. We're going to start in September. There will be residential training. There will be online classes. People will come in residence thrice. So stay with us, do these lectures, but then every week it'll be online. It's like an intense master's program essentially, which we're taking the people on. Tons of reading, thousands and thousands of pages of reading, learning, hanging out, whatever. It's not easy, but it'll be damn rewarding and valuable as well. To give you a sense of how we are structuring the curriculum, here are 4 pillars. The first is queerness in context, because we want queer leaders from India to understand where their queerness is situated. So of course they will read Queer India now, but that is just one of the mandatory reading. They'll be reading so many other things about the law, about AI, about technology, about so many other things. We're going to take them on a whole leadership journey. How do you build teams? How do you deal with conflict? How do you negotiate? How do you get what you want? So on and so forth. We want them to come in with a personal project, and we're going to give them what we are calling a stipend, but it's in the nature of a grant to advance that personal project. So if someone is saying, I want to build a small library somewhere, we're giving them a small amount, saying, here, kickstart it. But we want the year-long fellowship to be their journey towards advancing that with the faculty and with each other. And the 4th part, what we've called community bonding, but is actually just pleasure and fun. We're going to take them to places all over the city. We're going to take them for parties. James, who's here, hi James. James, for those who don't know, iconic fashion designer from our country, one of the first, is hosting a dinner already for them when they come. So it's not going to be all study, study, study. It's going to be study, hang out, party, learn, etc., and so on and so forth. Rani has just agreed to give them singing classes. And so on and so forth, right? So once again, we are very excited about this fellowship. We want to succeed. We need your help in making it succeed. Help us choose the first incredible cohort of fellows And of course, we'll be reaching out to so many of you for so many other things as well. So engage with us. The aim is 10 years from now, assuming we take 10 fellows every year, 10 years from now, there will be 100 trained leaders. We want to see, just as AP Shah, we want to see at least, 3 or 4, in the Supreme Court. We want to see 3 or 4 CEOs. We want to see 3 or 4, heads of, institutions. We want to see our people in positions of power as well, right? So the aim is for that, right? Because we want to see our people all across these spaces as well. I believe that if we do this well, this fellowship will really help in that. So help us amplify this. Thank you so much. Now we have 2 other very exciting internships that we have at Godrej as well. So I'm going to hand it back to Jamini to tell you about these.
Thank you, Parmesh. I think I wish I had something like this when I got out of college, not like it has been some long time. But so now we all deeply believe in creating spaces for queer people who have been historically been denied these chances, right? And so I'm proud to be able to introduce you to 2 such efforts. First, I'd like to invite Zoya from Godrej Properties to talk about the Pride internship.
Hi, folks. Thank you, first of all, for all of you coming here and being a part. One thing before I start my presentation, because I liked what Jamini did, and that was, can I hear a cheer for all the queers in the room? Great. So what I'm going to show you is for you all, okay? Majorly for you all. I'll just ask Rajiv to dim the lights and play a video. This video is a search history of a queer individual. Queer people in India and the world are asking for just the most ordinary things. That's all that they're asking for. They're asking for their taken name on their card, on their IDs. They're asking for the same to look like any other employee. And GPL, Godrej Properties, promises you to give you the most ordinary internship, most ordinary life at a workspace that you can have. That's what GPL promises. And I'm really saying that. What will actually make it extraordinary is the talent that you bring, the opportunities that we'll provide, but otherwise you will be like every other employee. Don't expect anything special, okay? That's not what you're going to get at GPL. So that's why I'm just talking about something that we launched in 2022. We keep hiring under this thing. We launched it in 2022. We have hired up till now 149 people who joined us as interns with a 44% conversion. That's around 70 people have joined us at full-time roles, which is around 25% of our overall FTE count, a full-time employment count from LGBTQ cohort. We have around 250 people at GPL right now. That's how queer this organization is. We are queer, we are here, and we are everywhere. Just to give you some more pieces, what this internship does is that it actually gives the opportunity for you to experience what real estate as a career can be. It takes you from a 9-month journey to understand what the role will be. It also gives the manager an option to kind of take a bet on the talent, which otherwise in a lateral hiring wouldn't happen. Because when you look at real estate, it's 12% diverse representation, which is also mostly only women. LGBTQ, PWD is not even counted. So what this what this space that we are trying to do is actually create that opportunity for people to enter into real estate, experience whether this space is for you, experience for the manager that, hey, this is one talent that I can take a bet on. Through some level of mentorship and on-the-job training, we are looking at bringing people on in real estate. I'll tell you, real estate is the second largest employer in India, and each property for GPL sells about more than 1 crore, means you'll make a lot of money. And also you can sell to more queers like Parmesh, he's also a property owner out here. But on that note, Pride Internship is open for application. You can scan the QR code there, or you can go in room number 2 on the ground floor and apply. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoya. I'm also so excited that we are launching the BU Internship 2026 by Godrej Capital. We have a video to introduce you to the BU Internship.
Hi everyone, I'm Bhavya. I work for Godrej Capital. I think Zoya has very beautifully already told everyone what we have at Godrej and how inclusive we are. I'll talk to you a little about Godrej Capital and what is it that we're looking for. So Godrej Capital is the newest company within the Godrej Industries group. We're just about 5 years old. What does that mean? We're not very big, but we're very exciting, and we're almost doubling ourselves every single year. So that means there's lots of growth, there's lots of opportunity, and there are really lots of roles. And BU as an internship program is an internship where we're looking out for queers, we're looking out for persons with disability, anybody who basically wants to be yourself. And this is not designed as an internship alone. Again, Zoya touched upon that. I think we've learned a lot from everything that's been done at Godrej Properties, and we're trying to do that and a little more that we can. What we are saying is that this is a great opportunity for you to come and experience us, to see our managers, to see our workplace, to see the kind of opportunity that you have to realize your own potential. Over the next 5 years, the plans we have at Godrej Capital means that at an assets under management level, we are going to grow 4 times, which means that there are so many more jobs. It means that we are going to go to pretty much every part of the country. We are currently at around 100 locations. We will reach 500, which means that wherever you are in India and across functions of HR, technology, analytics, business, credit, operations, whatever you want to do, there is a space for you to experience us, to see how it feels to work with us, and then make a choice if you want to work with us. And at the same time, our managers get to experience you, what you want, and what kind of growth you're looking for. And if we find a match, we would love to hire you. So it's an internship program that is designed to help you realize your own potential in whichever field that you are, and however you'd like to shape your journey of working with Godrej. So we are really excited to welcome anybody who wants to work with us, experience us, experiment with us, and do whatever you want to come and play around within Godrej Capital. So all of you are welcome. There is an email ID there where you can apply. Other than that, there is a team here, Ankita, Myra, who will help you on how you can apply to us. We're really looking forward to having you and growing with us. Thank you so much.
I would now like to invite Parmesh to felicitate the cohort of interns for the internship with Bhavya. Can I have the interns near the stage, please? Interns, please come up on stage as I am announcing your name. Sana Ansari, Siddharth Sanjay Mhatre, Siddhi Kevatkar, Rohan Mandal, and Sakshi Bhopale. Please join us on stage.
कोई कहानी दिल पर है, दिलकश है, दिलदार नजारे हैं। आज ज़मीं पर उतरे कितने सितारे हैं। अगलो होश नमी तानम, हम हैं दिल है और जानम। बस दीवानगी 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 है। ना कोई रहसन ना रहबर, ये इल्जाम लगे किस पर। बस दीवानगी 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 है। All the hot girls, put your hands up and say, Om Shanti Om. All the cool boys, come on, make some noise and say, Om Shanti.
Can we give a big round of applause for all the interns? Thank you. Can we quickly take a group photo?
हंगामा खेज है।
इसका नशा ही गहरा है, तेज है।
शाम गजब की हंगामा खेज है।
इसका नशा ही गहरा है, तेज है।
जुल्फ खुली है रेशम रेशम,
सांस खुली है मध्यम मध्यम।
ये तो इशारे हैं। अगलो होश नमी तानम, हम हैं दिल है और जानम। बस दीवानगी 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 है। ना कोई रहसन ना रहबर, ये इल्जाम लगे किस पर। बस दीवानगी 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 है। All the hot girls, put your hands up and say, Om Shanti Om.
All the cool boys, come on, make some noise and say, Om Shanti Om.
Thank you Zoya, thank you Bhavya, Parmesh. The fun's not over yet because what is Pride without some music, right? Get ready for a queer Lavani performance, which I promise will have your feet tapping and maybe compel you to do one jhatka or another, right? And now, please welcome our performers from the team House of Sways.
रात भर जागले, बेचारा तुम आहो पावन या बसा राजसा। करुण साज नटले आज, करुण साज नटले आज। शृंगार केलाय असा, आहो शृंगार केलाय असा। मी करते तुम्हाला जरा पावना, मैफिलीत बसा। मी करते तुम्हाला जरा पावना, मैफिलीत बसा। मोहात माझ्या रंगून गेली सारी ही नगरी। या बसा तुम्ही विश्वानी ऐन भरात आले मस्त अंगुरी रात प्याले मदनाचे रूप सुंदरा जणू इंद्राची अप्सरा गुलजार लार देखणी नखरेला कटक चांदणी ए ढोलकीच्या नादानं घुंगरू झालं बेभान नाच नाचून आला ग थकवा मला फिरतीच्या झुल्यात झुलवा राया फिरतीच्या झुल्यात झुलवा अन इश्काचा गुलखंद खिलवा मला फिरतीच्या झुल्यात झुलवा राया फिरतीच्या झुल्यात झुलवा अन इश्काचा गुलखंद खिलवा मला जोडीनं मुंबईला फिरवा मला फिरतीच्या झुल्यात झुलवा राया फिरतीच्या झुल्यात झुलवा अन इश्काचा गुलकंद खिलवा मला फिरतीच्या झुल्यात झुलवा अन इश्काचा गुलकंद खिलवा मी लाडाची तुमची बैना मला बघून लाजतोय आईना मी लाडाची तुमची मैना मला बघून लाजतोय आईना फसले नाही कधी कोणा किती चिंपांची केली मी तैना अगदी कच्ची मी कैरीची फोड जरा आंबट जराशी फोड ए फिरता फिरता तंद्रीत हरवले मी गर्दीत कुणी मेल्यानं मारला ग पटवा आधी जाऊन आधी जाऊन पोलीस बोलवा आधी जाऊन पोलीस बोलवा मग खुशाल पतंग उडवा मला फिरतीच्या झुल्यात झुलवा आणि इश्काचा गुलकंद फिरवा ना कानी असल किरत माझी देखणी सुरत नाही हटत कुणाच्या नजरा माझी पाठी हाय गोरी माझं रूप लई भारी नटे सावरी माळून हो गजरा दिलबरा राजसा तुम्ही जरा बघा तरी अशी मी मदन मंजिरी सुबक ठेंगणी लख लख ते सुंदरी अशी मी मदन मंजिरी चटक चांदणी चम चम ते अंबरी अशी मी मदन मंजिरी सुबक ठेंगणी लख लख ते सुंदरी अशी मी मदन मंजिरी चटक चांदणी चम चम ते अंबरी भरवसा ओ भरवसा दिलाचा कसा धरावा बाई जीव हा जाई पेटुनी कसा बसा अवरा जसा ठेवला हाय धीर ग बाई राखुनी नाद हाय दई खुळा माझ्या घुंगराचा झाडा सोन नान उधळते मोहरा माझ्या नजरचा वान काळ जात घुमशान खोल जाऊन रुतल यो गहिरा दिलबरा तुम्ही नाही तुम्ही जरा बघा तरी अशी रोखून पाहू नका माझ्या रूपाची नव्हाळी माझा रंग हो गव्हाळी मला नजर लावू नका रोखून पाहू नका फुल झाली माझ्यासाठी कित्येकाची दांडी नागपूर बुलढाण्याला भरली या थंडी येड केलं नाशिक बीड झालं आशिक ज्याला त्याला कळलं ही बया नाही सुशिक नादाला लागू नका रोखून पाहू नका मौन रोखून पाहू नका कमळात राहतो भुंगारात भरदंग कळी खुलताना तसे तुम्ही याना याना कळी खुलवाना कळी खुलवाना कळी खुलवाना माझी तनु मदन देखणी सोळा शिणगाराची खणी उधळली तुम्हावर ज्वान तुम्ही पुऱ्या दौलतीचे धनी आता धीर कसा मी धरू देर नका करू दिवा विझवाना सख्या तुम्ही याना याना कळी खुलवाना कळी खुलवाना कळी खुलवाना धक्का दे मी धक्का दे मी तुम्ही चपळ ऐट बाज वाघ अंग अंगात पेटते आग संग राहील का हो होश इश्काचा दसता नाग माझ्या अंगी मदन मातला इश्काचा झुला सख्या झुलवाना सख्या तुम्ही याना याना कळी खुलवाना कळी खुलवाना कळी खुलवाना जगात हो भारी होती एक स्वारी ढोलकी त्याची न्यारी दुनियेला प्यारी कहाणी त्याची ही खरी खुरी सांगाया आलो की हो दारी सत्य नाही कटू जरी रसिक हो धीर ठेवा तरी
Thank you, House of Sway. Mandal, आपले आभारी आहे. What a wonderful way to bring our afternoon to a close. Before we head out, a quick note. There is a lot happening outside. We have an amazing tea party outside, courtesy of our Godrej Yummies team. Trans Cafe is back with their blockbuster cupcakes, and the Allure team has a delectable menu. Apart from a bookstall, we have some brilliant pop-up shops by queer entrepreneurs at the Queer Bazaar GPL. There's also a volunteer station by the Godrej Good and Green in collaboration with Tweet Foundation that has a lovely activity for all of us to do. If you haven't already followed Godrej DI Lab on social media, please make sure to scan all these QR codes and follow them. Thank you to the wonderful Westland team for partnering with us, to QNIT, to House of Sway, Zeesh, and Emperor Naz. Thank you to our admin, security, IT, catering facilities team. Thank you to our lovely volunteers. Thank you so much for your smiles and support. To the wonderful folks behind cameras, mics and lights, and everyone who set up the beautiful stall. Thank you so much, Madhuji, our incredible ISL interpreter, and everyone across the business units who collaborated with us. Thank you so much, everybody.